Hello, hello, Mr. Mack-Poole. The French Revolution. King Louis the 16th. A cause of the French Revolution? Question mark. Okay, one thing which I forgot to put on this slide, which I just remembered. Really, it's kind of bad history to think that significant individuals shape history, because significant individuals, they don't create demographic shifts. Like King Louis did not cause the Enlightenment to come into being. King Louis could not stop the Enlightenment to come into being. He only works within a framework of other more important demographic factors. But that is not to say significant individuals don't have any power. That's not to say that at all. So let's consider him. So he lived from 1754 to 1793 when he met his death by the guillotine. And he was a king, and he's only 19 when he came to be king. So that's what, 2 years older than you guys? You'll be 18 next year. So would you be ready to lead Britain for one of its worst economic crises? Would you be ready to lead Britain now? I doubt it. I doubt you'd have the life experience to do so. So in this way, I feel quite sympathetic towards poor old Louis. Okay? And if France had a different king, would France have had a revolution? That's a really good question to think about. Imagine if France had a really strong king, universally popular, a very effective leader who didn't delegate his problems away, who fought about government at all times, okay, and made reforms to placate his people, genuine reforms that were effective, or a king that got his economy going, a king that wasn't lavish and spent all his money on massive parties, a different type of king. Yeah, so that is worthy to consider. Now, eventually, France would have become, if not a republic, certainly a constitutional monarchy like Britain, and effectively the monarch would have been a figurehead. If you look at Europe and the rest of Europe, that's just a truism. So was he such a bad king that he helped to cause the French Revolution? I think the answer is basically yes. Now, you're not going to find many historians who think that King Louis XVI was a good king. Okay. So yeah, that was his reign. Only 19 when he inherited the throne. So he reinstated Parlement, not like an English parliament, different. They did have tax. There were basically a bunch of judges that could change taxes in provinces. But he's basically delegating his power away. And he said of it, "It may be considered politically unwise, but it seems to me to be the general wish. And I want to be loved." He wants to be loved by his people, which is kind of insecure and arrogant. See, a king, that should not be a king's primary concern, to be loved. Okay? His primary concern should be to rule justly and protect his people. Love will come later. And so I think he was, by his own admission, he's unwise. Now, how can I have a leader that says that unwise? It's just so foolish, so foolish. So he was God. He was dominated by, it seems, passions rather than wisdom, which is not good in a leader. And by the way, this just gives an explanation of what these provinces were. So if you want to read through that slide, you can, but I just didn't want you to confuse that with an English parliament, although the word comes from the same stem. So for an absolute monarch, he's sure delegate a lot of power, especially to his financial ministers. And he makes bad decisions, just makes really bad decisions all the time. So, he decides to back the American War of Revolution. That was just so foolish. His ministers, who he delegates power to, what he does, he creates a power vacuum because he's not really leading from the front. So ineffective, And so, you have Necker and Turgot, and then he can't get these ministers to put their financial reforms through because he's too scared of his nobles. He backs down from his nobles too much. Now, I think it was his great-grandfather, Louis XIV. He certainly would not have had that from his nobles. He kept the nobles under control. So for an absolute monarch, he surely, he was just too weak to be absolute. He just delegated too much of his power away, and that created problems. And this leads to the Estates General. Now, even the Estates General forming is basically King Louis saying, you know, I can't do it. I cannot do this. When he goes to the Estates General, he's so subservient. They refuse to take their hat off, the third estate, because they're so sick of his weak leadership. So he takes his hat off to respect them. Now, this might seem like a noble gesture, but it also looks like a weak gesture to me. He literally can't do anything right. He doesn't resolve the financial crisis. Even when he wins the war, he's indebted up to his eyeballs, which means that he can't react to poor harvests. He couldn't even leave France. Couldn't even leave France without getting caught. And his marriage to Marie Antoinette was riddled with problems. Madame Deficit. She was Austrian. I mean, it makes sense to marry your enemies, and so you won't be invaded or go to war. But the French people truly detested her for her lavishness and her expenditure and her great, her great decadent parties. So, all in all, do I think the decisions made by King Louis XVI caused the French Revolution? Well, yeah, I do. Okay, and there's a clear litany of evidence that you have in front of you. There are some links on this PowerPoint, but it'd be better to research your own and try and make your own analysis and come up with maybe slightly different points to the ones that I've put in this PowerPoint, because I'm not writing your NEA for you. You're writing your NEA, right? So yes, there's also an information sheet on your Google Classroom, which has information about King Louis and his failings. Okay, well, take care. I'll see you tomorrow. If you've got any questions, please buzz them through.